Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily. It's Wednesday, December 7th, here with Greg Lawless. I'm Nick Fershaw. Greg, we're going to start in Colorado. More shakeups in the Colorado Rapids front office. This time it's Jeff Plush, the managing director. He's been there since 2006, but he's on his way out, leaving the organization not long after they won the MLS Cup.
Yeah, in 2010, obviously, they beat Dallas up in Toronto for the championship, their first championship as a club. And Plush was in charge for several big moments for the Rapids. Let's not forget, he was the man that ushered in Dick's Sporting Goods Park when that opened out there. And then, of course, the MLS Cup championship for them. He also brought in Gary Smith as the coach. But now there seems to be a little bit of a vacuum in terms of the team itself, because Smith, as we know, is out. Now Plush is out. That leaves Paul Bravo as the man in charge as they are preparing for the combine and the draft coming up next month.
Well, some of the names we've heard as potential candidates for the new head coaching job out in Colorado: Dennis Hamlet, Richie Williams, and Steve Sampson. Three guys well known in MLS and in international soccer. We'll have to see how it shakes out. The Rapids are trying to find a new head coach by January 1st. Let's take a look east. DC United announcing that Santino Quaranta, a veteran of this league for 11 years, retiring. Greg, this is a guy who really was a pioneer in this league.
Absolutely. The youngest player ever drafted, actually. Back in 2001, he was drafted by DC United. In his 11 years, he spent 10 of them with DC United. He also spent a year with the LA Galaxy and a little bit of time with the New York Red Bulls. In that time, he played 180 games all told, scored 27 goals, 29 assists. Obviously a guy who, as Ben Olsen said, grew up with DC United, and the growing up process was a big part of it. We've all heard about the stories of substance abuse that he had earlier on that he overcame, and now it seems he's going to work actually with kids who are struggling with substance abuse problems.
You look at some of those guys we've heard about: Freddie Adu and Eddie Gavin and Michael Bradley, all young guys to the league. Santino Quaranta was the first one. He was the pioneer there for DC United. We wish him well. Let's move on to the Olympic qualifying. The draw is out for the U.S. national team, for Caleb Porter's Olympic team. A favorable draw. They're going to go up against Canada, Cuba, and El Salvador. What do you think of the Americans' chances?
I think the U.S. should get through this group pretty easily. I mean, Canada's Olympic team not really very strong right now, although getting better, especially as the Canadian teams have come into MLS. Cuba's pretty much a pushover. El Salvador could be a tricky one. However, the U.S. will be playing at home. All three of their matches will be at LP Field in Nashville, Tennessee. So they'll have a hometown crowd behind them.
And you can find the complete list right here on MLSsoccer.com. Find out what's up with Mexico. I think everybody's got their eyes on Mexico for the U.S. Qualifying for the Olympics. Let's move on. Lee Nguyen, a player that everybody knows in MLS, and a lot of people are curious when he was going to come to the league. He's been in Vietnam, sort of a pseudo-celebrity. There's certainly a celebrity, not even a pseudo-celebrity. Lee Nguyen coming to MLS.
He's sort of become the David Beckham of Vietnam over the last couple of years. A former U.S. youth international, has a cap with the national team as well. He has signed with the league. We're not sure where he's going to go. There's going to be a lottery, and we're not sure yet about the date of that lottery to decide which team he'll join.
Well, moving on to Chivas USA, Greg, they have re-signed Dan Kennedy, the goalkeeper who started 32 games this season. Really a great goalkeeper in this league. And there's some other signings as well, some other teams locking down some key players.
Yeah, Luis Camargo down in Houston, the Dynamo locking him up and making that a permanent move to Houston. And Logan Paul is signing an extension with Chicago Fire, so a couple of teams shoring up their midfields there.
One last thing we want to mention, and that's the future of Charlie Davies. A lot of people are curious about where he might go after it appears his time with DC United is done. There's a report, Greg, that he's on his way to the EPL.
Well, we've been following what's going on between him and DC United. It was last week United saying they're not going to pick him up and for next year, or at least for now, they weren't going to buy him, let's say. Now it looks like Everton is a team that might be interested. Now, just remember, this report is coming through a Liverpool newspaper that got some reports out of France. So still lots of murkiness about this. However, Everton do have money to spend. That's what everyone is saying, that they're going to spend it in January. Maybe some of that money will go Charlie Davies' way.
Well, you can find that report in the kickoff. And for all the latest rumors, transactions in MLS, it is silly season. After all, you can find the Rumor Central right here on MLSsoccer.com.